winning blueprint presents.
5 minutes or less. Detroit Lions.
Welcome, I'm your host, Lou. Thank you for joining me. This is the Detroit Lions in 5 minutes or less. I got 5 minutes on the clock. Let's get started. So the high point of the season for the Detroit Lions. Week 8 and Week 9 pose the only winning streak of the season for the Detroit Lions in the 2012 season. This 2-week stretch saw the Detroit Lions roar back from behind at home against Seattle in Week 8 to win that football game 28-24, beating the Seattle Seahawks. Then the next week, traveling to Jacksonville in Week 9 and disposing of the Jacksonville Jaguars 31-14. These two wins, in combination with each other, got the Detroit Lions back to 500 on the season at 4-4. And after starting the season 1-3, running off 3 out of 4 victories, the last of which was that win at Jacksonville, the Lions all of a sudden look more like the team from 2011 that made it to the postseason. Just maybe, now that they're back to 500, they can put together a string of victories and make something of this season and get back in the race in the NFC North. Which takes us to the low point of the season for the Detroit Lions. Who knew that Week 9 would be the last victory of the season for the Detroit Lions? That's right, 8 straight losses to end the season for the Detroit Lions. Now, I could go in and individually pick out some losses and pick one as the low point of the season. But why? When you lose 8 straight games, they all start to run together. They all start to look the same. That was the low point of the season, losing 8 consecutive games in a row. So free agency activity for the Detroit Lions. It basically breaks down like this. Everyone except Calvin Johnson and Matthew Stafford are free agents. So aggressive is what the Detroit Lions need to be, because you have a lot of guys in-house that you need to sign back. The most notable is Cliff Averill. He's looking for a long-term, big contract. You don't want to shell out that money, and I don't blame you. He's asking for Super Mario money, and we all know that Cliff Averill does not warrant that type of money. So I get what you're saying there, but look, you need to figure out all of the free agents that matter to you, bring them back, and with whatever money you have left, go spend it on guys that can help you in the 2013 season, because you need a lot of help in various areas on this football team. So aggressive is what the Detroit Lions need to be in terms of free agency. There's one small little problem. You don't have a lot of money. When the offseason started, you were $1 million over the cap. You've shed some dead weight since then, but I don't know how you're going to re-sign all the guys that you need to and go out and make some moves happen, but figure it out. You need to be aggressive because you need more talent on your football team. Lastly, the state of the fan base. It's lukewarm. And it's lukewarm because you don't know what you're getting from the Detroit Lions from week to week. 1 week, Calvin Johnson is catching 11 balls for 212 yards in a losing effort. The next week, you've got your head coach throwing the flag when he's not supposed to, costing you an opportunity to challenge a play that ends up helping you lose a ball game that you probably should have won on Thanksgiving. And then the next week, you've got a guy like Titus Young on your roster who's a knucklehead who doesn't want to line up where he's supposed to, and he's sabotaging the team. And you just don't know what you're getting from the Detroit Lions. They're like one big soap opera. So it's lukewarm until you get Jim Schwartz out of there or get him to rein this group in. I don't know what to expect from the Detroit Lions from week to week. You can't pass it 739,000 times like you did in the 2012 season and expect to win. You have to run the football. This team needs direction. You hear that sound in the background? That means that was the Detroit Lions in 5 minutes or less.
Detroit Lions, 5 minutes or less.